And we're live. Hello, everyone. How's it
What
going?
up?
It's soup
What up,
time.
nerds and turds? How's it going?
Yeah,
How's it going?
It's going well. We're doing hot soup. It's hot soup.
Come through.
The soup
How's it
is
going?
hot. And
Everything's
that's just
going.
the name of the game. And I'm pulling up the chat so I can make sure that I can actually see it, because you know that's a thing.
Names.
I know, right?
Wait, shut the fuck up, me.
Yeah, me. What the hell?
Shut the fuck up.
I mean, yeah.
I don't need me
I disagree.
Talking
but anyway.
at all. I'm also gonna pull up Scryfall because I inevitably always pull up
should.
Scryfall.
I also have Scryfall open, and it's a good time. But yes, welcome everybody. Today, we are in the midst of spoiler season for Murders at Karlov Manor. So, I thought it would be appropriate if we talked about it. You know, because it's a thing. It's kind of a new thing. It's the new hotness. And
the new hot thing.
The new hot thing. And they were also very kind this time around to kick off spoiler season with like an obscene number of legendary creatures. Like they did not bury the lead as far as Commander is concerned. They are all
I feel like they were absolutely pandering, not a complaint, to Commander players, and I'm like, we're getting spoiled and the other formats are gonna start getting mad as if they weren't.
Oh yeah, no, modern players everywhere. It's just like, come on, man. And then Modern Horizons comes out and then the format artificially rotates and they're just like, come on, man.
I gotta be honest, I'm mad for modern players.
That's fair. Yeah, they have kind of a raw deal right now.
I want to play modern, but anyway, we digress.
We digress already. We haven't even.
Spoiler season is way more important.
Yes. So here we are. We have all kinds of fun things to talk about, and yeah, I'm curious. You mentioned before we went live that you have not really engaged with these spoilers much at all at this point.
I hadn't seen shit.
You hadn't seen shit. All right.
I've seen the few spoilers that had been from months ago, but it didn't give any abilities or anything.
Right. Yeah,
it was just like art and flavor text.
Yeah, it's like, look, it's Scooby-Doo kinda. Okay, neat. Now what? Yeah, okay,
like,
I got
they
you.
were almost bidding like, this is what it's gonna look like. This is what you're looking for.
Okay. And
I love that. So I was very excited about the whole storyline and the clue aspect. Yep. And now I'm behind on the lore and I don't know what's going on.
I am too.
I will say,
yeah,
the Twitter magic community on a goddamn hunt following. There are spreadsheets. Yogg got started a spreadsheet like week 1.
Of course.
People were on it. There are theories running around. So of course I'm pitching in unhinged shit that could not be further from the truth, but I want it to be true, and I swear to God, if any of them actually work out, I'm gonna absolutely die. And I could tell you my predictions based on nothing later.
I mean, did any of them involve like, what's that dude's name? I'm trying to go deep here, and I'm failing. Did any of them involve like Ambassador Laquatus? That would be tight. Nobody remembers this guy, because you shouldn't. He's an awkward character. He's a merfolk from way back in the day. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's dead in the canon, so never mind.
I just looked at him today because I got Hackball and I want to make wet elves.
I love it. Anyway, I was just trying to think, what is the most like absurd, asinine character from Magic's past that I could pull up, and Ambassador Laquatus came to mind. But I gotta grab the one from Torment. This is the yeah, look at that smug motherfucker. Oh,
yeah,
love it.
I love it.
I love this guy. Anyway.
I love it. Yeah, sure, he'll be there.
Yeah,
no, but I'm making like unhinged predictions that won't happen. And then there's one that like based on what people are saying and other things that
it might actually be onto something.
Might be a reasonable prediction. I don't know if I got anything right, but I could be onto something.
Okay. I'm interested.
Anyway. But I'm feral for this set. I am feral. I love Clue, the game. Yeah. I love Clue, the movie.
Yeah.
Everything about it. Praise be to our Lord and Savior, Tim Curry.
And also with you. Yep.
I just... Plus, Ravnica's fun. The guilds are fun. I think I love the fucking guilds.
Right.
I'm such a hoe for the guilds, so I like Ravnica.
Sure.
I enjoy that we're there. I also, lore-wise, am forever looking for our boy Angrath. Okay?
I feel like he's
And
gotten kind of, yeah.
According to the tracking of the lore, the last time we heard of him was in Ravnica. He had left Ixalan, and now he's stuck on fucking Ravnica. And they were like, and he was like, can we destroy the fucking sun now? Because it keeps yeeting me all over the place. I'm not having a good time. I just want to make swords and hang out with my kids.
Man, I did not know much about this character. Wow. Okay.
I don't know why I got attached to Angrath. He's a fucking Minotaur pirate in Rakdos. This couldn't be less of what I play. And but fucking the last known place was Ravnica because the other legendary creatures and shit were like, but what if we could capture more planeswalkers?
Well, I mean, I can't blame them. Planeswalkers are pretty tight, so yeah.
So Angrath's like, you fucking assholes, and that's the last known location is he's kind of stuck on Ravnica. So I'm like, Angrath did it.
There we go. Hey,
he's so mad. He's mad. He's stuck.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to go home.
Sucks to suck, Angrath. Yep, yeah.
Justice for Angrath. But we've seen Jace, we think, on some of the lands.
Wait, what? This is news to me. Okay.
I saw that today. Look up the Karlov lands.
Which one?
I'm looking up islands right now. I
have the I see them.
Oh, maybe they're not in there yet.
Yeah, I see some of the lands. I'm not
yet. Hold on. I swear to God.
I believe you, but I'm not familiar. Yeah. This is a new thing that I have not seen. Yeah.
Spoiler Caesar Zeeks. I'm gonna scroll. Carry on.
Yes. But yes, so we were talking about Clue and we're talking about all these other stuff. There is a card that I want to talk to you about that I know you'll appreciate. So we talked about Lead Pipe previously. I know you were definitely pro Lead Pipe. Definitely a fan.
I am so pro Lead Pipe. Like, part of it, honestly, is the art. It's one of those cards that I'm gonna look for excuses to play.
Right. Because
of the art.
Now,
which is why I play Commander.
Honestly, yeah, that is a perfectly fine reason. But okay, so we know the Lead Pipe is one of the weapons in Clue or Cluedo, depending on where you are in the world. And you know, we're familiar with this from that setting. Makes sense. If we're interested in Lead Pipe, could I interest you in Knife?
Oh, you know what? Never mind about the lands. It's for a different thing.
Okay.
Still store. Oh, Knife.
We now have a card in Magic just called Knife.
Knife.
That's it.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God.
There wasn't a knife before. I knew you'd appreciate this. It's just Knife.
Sorry, my autism is just.
Yes. Bring it on. Make it happen.
Out of control. It's at 11. It's at 11.
I love it. This is great.
Autism increases. Yeah. No. I love this. I love this so much. This
we don't even need to talk about what it does. Just look at it.
So happy.
It's just a knife.
I think it's great. It's one of those. I would absolutely use this in standard.
Yeah.
Probably even if it wasn't an equip, if it was just like a clue that came out and you could sack it for 2 and draw a card.
Yeah. I mean, that's the base on this, and you know that was the case with Lead Pipe as well. It's like it's a 1 mana. It's a clue.
Yeah.
And there is the upside that you could equip something, but it's kind of like, you know, Goldhound, if you think about it that way. It's like it's a 1 mana treasure with some upside that might be relevant.
Yeah.
This is very much, it's just a clue. Like you're going down a card to put a clue onto the battlefield, but it could give you +1/+0 and First Strike. First Strike's no joke, so.
It makes me think of the Skull Bombs.
Similar, yeah. Where it's just, yeah.
Which I like those in standard. Just eat a bunch of Skull Bombs out. It's fun.
Yeah, if your deck cares about artifacts, if your deck cares about, in this case, equipment, any of that stuff, you have potential synergies. It's there, and we also have a crap
ton. Super thematic.
It is
super thematic.
We also have so much stuff in this set that cares about clues. So much. The number of clue synergy.
Which, by the way, I didn't realize that there was going to be a Karlov Manor when I started getting super into clues, and I think part of it was like. Tons of food stuff was gonna come out. Like when we knew up to that point. Tons of food stuff was gonna come out.
Right. Yeah, in the case of the clue stuff, let me find, there are a
And I
couple of
was
good
like,
ones. Like, here we have one that
I
actually
love
just got...
this mechanic, but
Right?
it's not as niche as I want it to be anymore at this point.
No,
and
it's
gonna
not.
get flooded, which means my shit's gonna get expensive. Part of the reason I like these super thematic decks is because they're fucking cheap.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck. So I was like, what else has like a reasonable amount of support that I feel like I could play it and get away with a silly but fun mechanic? I'm like, fucking clues.
Yeah. It just works.
Clues are hilarious, and I have an extra Academy manufacturer. Let's go.
There you go.
And then Karlov Manor, and I'm like,
Yep.
so I gotta find a new weird mechanic that's cheap.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you want that, yeah. So anyway,
I'm not even trying to be interesting.
You're good. Persuasive
Ooh.
Interrogators is a card that I want to touch on a little bit. When we talk about clue synergies, this thing has an ability on it. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. So if you have a way to sacrifice artifacts on the cheap, like a Bartolome del Presidio or something like that.
I saw other, like,
Oh my
leaks
goodness.
of fucking clue poison shit, and I'm like, it makes sense, and I hate it. It's so flavorful, and I don't want it to be.
Well, and we're in a world where we also have the Phyrexia all will be one, all the proliferate stuff, all those things. It's already here. Yeah, so that's, yes, we're going to get toxic. Also, this isn't uncommon, just saying. So, yeah. But so you're mentioning about, like, fringe mechanics, or that you're interested in getting involved in, and things that you'd like to build because they don't see a lot of love, or they don't get a lot of appreciation. I hope
and a lot of times they're made in these like self-contained moments and blocks. So like, when Golgari food was a thing,
right?
It was its own thing, and it stayed its own thing for a while. And then Eldraine, Lord of the Rings.
You know what else was its own thing for a long time and stayed isolated? Also, Chris Willis, what up? Thank you for joining. When you're looking at another mechanic that was very much isolated to the Onslaught block when it first came out was Morph, the ability to play a creature face down. And then Khans of Tarkir happened, brought back Morph, but the Khans of Tarkir morphs were kind of introduced Manifest. They were okay, but they didn't really, it wasn't really that amazing. There have been a couple of commander cards featuring Morph just because it's a fun old thing. But for the most part, it's been this very fringe thing. Nobody, nobody's batting down my door for my playset of Dream Chisels. That's not it's a Morph support card from way back in the day. But that might change now, because Murders of Karlov Manor is bringing with it Disguise, which is a new modern take on Morph. It functions almost exactly the same. So you pay 3 mana, and you put the creature down, or you put the creature card in play face down. The difference between Morph and Disguise, a disguised creature has Ward 2, but it's still a 2/2, so it's a vanilla 2/2 for 3 mana. In this case, we have Ward 2, so I guess not vanilla, but you get what I'm saying.
You can pick a whole sneaky deck between Morph and Disguise.
You sure can.
Sneaky.
Well,
and then just give it Skulk for fun.
Why not? And they're also compatible.
And they're all
is the fun part. Because the fun part, exactly. You can't. We've all had some fun farts in our lifetime. Come on, there's don't judge. Anyway, the best part about this is they're totally compatible. All the old Morph synergies, like the aforementioned Dream Chisel, specifically talk about face-down creature spells you play. Cost 1 less. Guess what?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that helps with face-down.
Face-down versus face-up. Disguise and Morph use the same wording. It's the same. Straight up. So if you have cards that care about being turned face up, or when you turn cards face up, or turning cards face down again, all of a sudden, like, Disguise and Morph work interchangeably. And so if you already have a Morph deck in Commander, guess what? You got a whole bunch of new toys coming in this set. And if you didn't already, think about it. And if you have a bunch of old support cards for Morph, like Isidore, like Dream Chisel,
it's gonna be a good time.
Maybe the price on those might bump up a little bit. Who knows?
I also like this card because from Eldraine, I built an Obira deck.
Yes.
And this is a fairy, and it's not moving. A lot of the fairies cost 4.
Yep.
And are not very good.
Accurate.
So getting them out so that I can kick off Elvira's ability to life drain or gets rough. This, however, would be amazing to shove that shit into Elvira. It's a 1/4.
Yep. 1/4 flyer for 3, Fairy Detective. We're talking about the Fairy Snoop, for those just listening in. And it is a 1/4 flyer for 1 blue-black. And if you just play it as a creature, that's it. That's what you get. However, if you pay its disguise cost, so if you pay 3, play it face down, and then you can pay 1 Hybrid Dimir, so total of 3 mana again. So total mana investment is 6. You can flip it face up, transforming it from a 2/2 Ward 2 to a 1/4 flyer. And it says, when Fairy Snoop is turned face up, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So it draws you a card, and it helps put something in your yard. Not an incredible effect. This is a common version, so this isn't a super powerhouse card. I don't anticipate.
It's a nice little blocker, and that deck's not strong to begin with.
There you go.
So this is great blocker. It's already a flyer deck, which is annoying as shit, and kind of the advantage of it.
But I think the most important part here is it really shows off what Disguise is all about. So we're looking at the effect. What is it? Well, a 2/2 Ward 2 has unique benefits and drawbacks in combat, whereas a 1/4 flyer, no less, is very different. So if I have this turn face down and I have 3 mana open, I can at any time pay 3 and turn it face up. Well, if you're attacking into me with, say, a 3/1 flyer, and you think, oh, I only have a 2/2, what are the chances that we have a problem? Well, if I flip this face up, all of a sudden I can block favorably. You know, that's a pretty basic interaction, and I'm not saying this card is super strong, but that's what we're doing here. You know, that's what the Disguise is all about. And there are some really cool interactions and cool scenarios with that you can do, and that's the biggest thing to note. Disguise costs to flip things face up, just like morph costs, can be done at instant speed. So, get silly, get nasty.
So funny.
It's so funny. I love it.
And because even though these are kind of under-supported, more niche mechanics, when they get more and more support over time and you hyper-focus on it, sometimes they can be insane.
They can get there. And there are some...
the other night, I played my Gaiome deck.
Yeah.
And I won. And all that deck does is yeet not very big creatures out, feed them with food tokens to make them swole, and punch the hell out of you. That's it.
I love those decks.
Eat and go wide. And like the kill switch backup is life drain.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Which means you were eliminated from the show.
I mean, yeah. Nice. I see what you did there.
But like,
yeah, it's fun. I love doing straightforward strategies. That can definitely be a good time.
It's a silly mechanic. I hyper-focused it, and it's so damn thematic that even the creatures that are bigger and stompier and give it some heat all have a word in its title to do with eating or for something like Hunger Dominus.
I mean, that works. Yeah.
World Eater.
Well, I mean, we have another one that you might want to think there. Bite down on crime. I was actually very happy about this one.
What is Collect Evidence?
Collect Evidence is a new mechanic. Collect Evidence is a new mechanic that is similar to Delve, kind of.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so the way that it works is when you see something that says Collect Evidence 6, in order to satisfy that requirement, what you have to do is you have to exile cards from your graveyard with mana value 6 or more. And you can exile any number, but you have to get to mana value 6 or more. So it's kind of like if Crew and Delve got really drunk one night and had, 9 months later you get Collect Evidence. That was a bad... Anyway. So... It's similar to those two mechanics, where you have to get up to a certain threshold. Once you do, you've succeeded. By doing so, in order to do it, you have to exile cards from your graveyard. That's the bottom line. And in this case,
love that.
And it's kind of cool. Collect Evidence is used in a couple of different ways that we've seen so far. There's one creature that has Collect Evidence as a ward cost. And so if somebody wants to target it, they have to exile stuff out of their graveyard. Might be relevant, might not. Probably going to be relevant early game, maybe not late game. You know, certain matchups they're not going to care. Other matchups they're going to be devastated. It's great. I think that's a cool design idea. In this case,
every time these new cards come out, I immediately think of a deck I already have, and I'm like, I would like to give it a shot in that, see what happens.
Exactly.
And immediately I'm like, Liaise, a Forgotten Archangel.
There you go. Yeah. In the case of Bite Down on Crime specifically, yeah, actually, that's a great idea because if you're forcing your opponents to use their graveyards, but you're not giving them a graveyard, yeah, seems good. That seems like a good idea. But in the case of Bite Down on Crime, so it's 3 and a green for sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect evidence 6. This spell costs 2 less to cast if evidence was collected. So it either costs 4 or 2, depending on whether or not you're able to collect evidence 6. And the effect is, target creature you control gets +2/+0 till end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So it's a Rabid Bite effect plus a little stat boost. This is a common, this is green removal and limited is probably where it's going to see play. It's not going to be great outside of that. The fact that it adds power, though, is relevant. I think if we were in a situation, like in Standard, for example, where we had a green aggro deck, like right now we absolutely don't. It's not even close. Like I've tried doing green aggro, and every single time I'm playing even the most dialed in, like tight green aggro list you could possibly imagine, it feels like playing starter decks against Pro Tour net decks. It's just, it doesn't fit at all, which is really a shame. And that's been the case in Standard for well over a year now. But so if that were to exist, this would fit in kind of that Blizzard Brawl spot. This is nowhere near as good as that, but at least that idea of like, hey, my team is coming for you, and I need to get that one pesky blocker out of the way. Nom nom nom. And then we send. Like that's kind of the idea.
See, now you said Blizzard, and I'm like, I hope we go back to Kaldheim because I want more snow cards because now that's a mechanic I'm getting into. So I assume at some point that's gonna get ruined.
Oh yeah, by the way, did I mention there's snow on Ravnica? No, I'm kidding. That's not
in the next year or 2 years.
Yep,
and then
probably.
That's gonna get expensive. I'm gonna have to find something else. Like,
Well, someday, it's funny, I have so many Commander decks. When I'm building Commander, I just play with the cards I have lying around, and I opened a bunch of Kaldheim. So, like, I have a whole bunch of snow, like, support cards. Like, I have a bird deck with Pilfering Hawk, for example. It's just like,
I love snow.
It's a great little bird.
I don't know why.
It's just a really good little bird.
Yeah, a good card.
1/2 for 2. Use the snow, tap, draw a card.
The Ascendant Spirit, that little nightmare little shit. Have you ever had your ass kicked by that pain in the ass card?
So many times.
More than one.
So many times. But the reason I mentioned Pilfering Hawk specifically is because I only have a handful of snow basics, and I really don't want to spend like $10 just buying a lot of snow basics. That seems like, I don't know. For some reason that like irks me. Like I just don't want to do it. And so as a result, like I have a bird deck where this would fit perfectly fine and be like a fine entry into it. But I only like half my basics would be snow. And for some reason that really bothers me. And therefore it doesn't make the cut. It's the dumbest thing, but it's totally real.
Write the word snow.
Yeah. And I have no doubt if I just walk up to a pod and was like, is it cool if we just pretend all my basics are snow? I'm sure everyone would just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't think anyone would care, but like, still. Anyway.
I mean, if you're not going to compete, just be like, just decide they're going to accept it. But that's also me, and I have a bad attitude.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm just going to use this basic island to activate this. Does anyone have a problem with that? Yeah, I thought not.
You're from the Midwest. You're polite. I cannot say the same for myself.
Sorry.
Yep. You're like, sorry, and I'm like, do something.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. As long as, I mean, if it's okay. Yeah, I love the difference. It's like, I mean, if that's okay, like, fuck you. Yeah, you got a problem with this?
Like, the thing is, if you're like in an LGS, it's like, are you done mouthing off? Because that's all you got. Can we move on? What are you gonna do? Shut up. Like,
nice. But anyway, so I mentioned it, but we haven't actually shown the card. Axebane Ferox is the card that we were talking about, where it has collect evidence as a ward cost. Collect evidence 4. I honestly think this card is pretty solid. Again, if green aggro is playable, or if you're in kind of any kind of beast deck that likes having aggressive creatures, 4/4 for 2 green, Death Touch, Haste, Ward, Collect Evidence 4.
Yeah.
Just seems good.
And
this is going to be the bane of people's pre-releases, I have no doubt. I'm sure people are going to be like, all right, I stabilized, fine. All right, cool. Pass the turn. I played Ferox Attack.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of that. I have no doubt.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to suck. So if you're doing the pre-release, heads up. This is out here. Yep.
Oh, shit. Remember I said black lipstick was difficult?
It can be tricky.
I put too much on, and now it's like flaking up.
Oh, no. But yeah, so there are a bunch of other... So yeah, there's Analyze, or the Collect Evidence. We have Disguise. There are a couple of other ones. Another mechanic that they're bringing in is... there's another subtype. There's an enchantment subtype. We'll get to that. But another one that I want to talk about is Suspect, which is an interesting mechanic. Now, if a creature is a suspect, it is like a status that they get. It's not a counter. It's not a token aura. It just sort of is. It feels very much like Perpetual from Alchemy to me. Very much. Because they just get it, and they just have it for the rest of the game, unless they die, come back. You know, if they blink, they lose it, that kind of thing. But for the most part, and there's some cards that actually remove the status effect, or the suspect effect, rather. But if something is a suspect, it has menace, and it cannot block.
Okay.
So if you're aggressive, if you are going to be aggressive, you want there to be suspects on the board. Because if your stuff is suspect, it can't block any of my stuff. If my stuff's suspect, it's tough for you to block. So it's very much helps in combat in that way. And
that sounds fun.
It is going to be fun. And there are a couple of cool instances of it that I think are pretty darn neat. And one that I want to talk about is a card called It Doesn't Add Up. And
First of all, this art, oh my god.
I made a point of grabbing the showcase version because, oh my goodness. The normal one is also fine, but like this card in the frame is just like, mwah. What's up?
So like the 5-drop black return creature to the battlefield cards are not uncommon.
No,
I love them.
There's usually one in every set. Yeah. There's usually a 5-drop reanimated thing.
There's one with Proliferate. This set's giving everybody poison with its clue. I have anxiety. I love this.
Yeah, and then you have the other 5-mana reanimations that we've seen. We've seen like Vault Emergence from Phyrexian will be one. That's the Proliferate one. You've got Graveyard Shift from New Capenna that nobody appreciates, but it's great. You've got there are a handful of Defossilize from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Like, every set has an uncommon 5-drop reanimated thing, which isn't great, but it can work in Limited. Like, if you have a lot of big creatures, and you have, like, kind of a ramp shell, but you have access to black anyway, you might as well return some stuff. It's fine in that case. But that's usually the only places where it sees any kind of play, and usually those decks, you really don't even want more than one. You know, you'd much rather have another creature in that slot most of the time. However, this particular one is interesting. And Gozer, what up? Yeah, these cards are almost always sorceries.
Oh, yeah.
Almost always, like 99% of the time, these cards are freaking sorceries.
Yeah.
This one isn't.
I just fucking realized that. Oh, shit.
This card looks pretty lame until you realize it's an instant. Because that's incredible. So, 3 black for an instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Suspect it. So that is a use of this mechanic that makes this card weaker in a cool, interesting way. So because the creature is going to be a suspect, it can't block. And so the idea of, the reason that these cards are generally sorceries is so that you can't, like, ambush something out of your graveyard mid-combat to, like, blow somebody out. And, well, if you're doing that in this case, if you're going to do that, you can't block with the creature that you reanimate. Now, that's not stopping you from reanimating an Atraxa and drawing 5 cards, or reanimating a Tali and spinning into YOLO, whatever.
Yeah, there's so many cards you don't need to worry about blocking with.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Like, okay, I'm sorry, you just mentioned a Tali with Menace.
Yep. So, can you imagine late in the game, like you have your mana open, maybe you have some kill spells or some counters or some interaction in your hand, right? Your opponent decides to attack you.
Not enough.
Yeah, clearly not enough. Your opponent decides to attack you with some stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Doesn't Add Up, bring Atali back from the graveyard, spin into something from the top of our decks, possibly a creature that can block, you know, and really disrupt your plans, and maybe into some removal or whatever. And then, this is your turn. And then, when you're done, finally, I get to go. And now I'm untapping, and I have a Menace Atali online. All my mana's untapped. I might be able to flip it immediately. And the backside of Atali is Blightsteel, effectively. Yeah, so, I mean...
Oh my god, Gozer.
This thing, yeah.
So Gozer fell in love with dinosaurs. Gozer is my partner, for those that don't know.
Yes.
He was over the moon excited for Ixalan. Why he didn't buy a box for himself is beyond me, but whatever.
Or 6 or 7.
Over the moon excited.
It's a pretty good set. But yeah, anyway.
Over the moon excited. He got the Pantlaws, the pre-con.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
It's so good.
The only deck I had that beat him, because my decks aren't as fast, it's fucking Naya dinosaurs, was Tiny Bones. Fucking Tiny Bones. I didn't let him have dinosaurs. Get your dinosaurs in the graveyard. Fuck you.
Yeah, all those 6 and 7 drops in your hand. Get them out of there. Go. Get them gone. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No, you gotta get out ahead of that.
That was it. Yeah. No, like 3 games in a row, I won by turn 5, and that was it. That was the only deck. So the last thing I need is reanimated Menace, fucking flipped Atali with poison in a deck that can give you so much proliferate. Just cracking a clue that turn. How much mana do you spend?
I mean,
the total 7.
I mean, okay, seems good. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, unless flipping it costs, but even then, still.
But yeah, so to flip Atali, you need to spend 9 and a Phyrexian, so 9 and 2 life. So you need to get to 9 mana. But the thing is, if your casting doesn't add up on your opponent's end step, that's the other thing. Instant speed reanimation, you can kind of treat it as your creatures having haste, right? Because you wait until your opponent's end step, then you bring them back, and then you untap and go. Like, you just got it.
Yeah.
But as far as the game's concerned, oh, you went through an upkeep. Yeah, no, swing with it. You're good. It's great. It's so cool. And on top of that, your mana's untapped. So yeah, with Atali, it lines up perfectly, where if you're doing any kind of ramp up until that point, you spend 5 mana on your opponent's upkeep. If you have access to 9, they're dead. Like, it's just... And on top of that, that's not even taking into account that this thing's going to help you find stuff. Like, if this is going to help you find stuff on the front phase. Like... Yeah, so this is going to be a standard deck I absolutely use. I'm going to go ahead and bring back my Mardu slot machine. With It Doesn't Add Up, because holy cow is this card just... It's funny, I looked at this and thought, this card's kind of lame. It's just the 5 mana reanimate with Set's mechanic. And I looked at it for a while and then moved on, and somebody else was like, dude, did you look at that again? And I looked at the type line, and they were like, oh, did you see the instant speed? Yeah, did you see the reanimation instant? I was like, reanimation instant? What are you talking about? Because my brain just shortcut that. It's just like, oh, I know this card is a sorcery. Sure.
Sorcery.
Yeah. Like, no, it's not.
You were incorrect.
I was incorrect. And yeah, so that's the showcase art is showing Etrata. And it also, because I believe there was a story significance with her that they actually spoiled on one of their streams. But anyway, yeah, this is the regular art. Also gorgeous.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Also beautiful artwork. Nothing but love. But I mean, but how can you argue with that? Like, that's
it's just so beautiful.
It's fantastic.
God, I love the art in this fucking game.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Etrata's lovely. Let's just see more Etrata. That's all I want. And can you blame me? Because Etrata the Silencer is a classic card that is like goofy and weird to play, and genuinely pretty darn bad. Yeah, this card, if you're familiar with this, it's terrible. This card is very bad. You have to jump through. You have to jump through 10 million hoops to make it work. It is an.
Oh my god. Sorry, a cosplayer friend messaged me and said they are doing this for Chicago.
I love it. I love it.
And I had said I wanted to do some portraits or boudoir shoots, and people could message me. I only wanted to do like 2 or 3 in like a day.
Yeah.
I got like 15 DMs immediately.
I believe it. And that's not counting the number of people on the thread who are just like, I mean, I'd be interested if you're,
and
which I
like,
was in there. I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Now I have to pick and choose.
Yep.
However, I think the people who want like just a straightforward portrait or two or that are willing to do it at the con.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah.
Like I can take like an hour to do a couple of people, do con stuff, and then like. Anyway, so this is exciting that she's getting more cards and she's part of the story.
She's a big part of the story. Yep.
Because I mean, this is also hilarious if it works.
Oh, Trot of the Silencer is
the funniest thing ever.
Yeah,
like it's the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, so the gimmick here, if you're not familiar, Trot of the Silencer is this unblockable 3/5. Costs 4. That's the part that sucks. If this thing was cheaper, it would be much better. And when a Trotta connects, deals damage to a player, you get an opportunity to exile a creature that player controls, and you put a hit counter on it. You know, because like it's like an assassination. It's a hit. You pulled a hit on that dude.
Yep.
And then you shuffle a Trotta back into your deck. That's the part that sucks. And so the idea, kind of the gimmick, and she doesn't have haste is the thing. Like, it would be so much better if haste was part of the equation.
That would be great if she had haste.
Yeah, so much better. And so, like, in a 60-card format, the whole idea of, like, oh, I'm going to play this 4-drop, she's going to survive miraculously, and then I'm going to be able to attack you, exile one of your things, and then hope I draw into one of my other copies, and do it again. So in Commander, obviously, you put a Trotta as your commander, is the idea, and then you have ways of bouncing and blinking and kind of getting around the shuffle effect. That's the way you have to do it. But the best part is, once you've exiled, when you connect, and you exile a creature with a hit counter, if they then have 3 cards in exile with hit counters, they lose.
And that's not even a lot.
No.
Hitting someone 3 times is so very likely.
It's not, yeah.
She can't be fucking blocked.
Nah, she just can't be blocked, straight up. Like, I'm just gonna hit you. But you have to connect 3 separate times, and they have to have a creature online that is a card. Tokens don't work. And so it's a weird scenario to try to, like, dance around it, and players can see it coming, and so they can position themselves. It's a whole thing. But it's an interesting idea. It creates a cool dynamic at the table. I love this card and kind of what it can do for a Commander game. I have one. I have yet to find a proper home for this card. Come to think of it, I should probably just put it in my freaking Gyruda deck, just because, I mean, she's even. Why not? Anyway, however, we have a new Atrata. Atrata, Deadly Fugitive.
Death Touch.
With Death Touch. 1/4 with Death Touch. Any assassin that doesn't have Death Touch, what the hell? That's like, come on. Just think about it. I feel like that's just appropriate, right? Like, the things they touch die. It's like, it's Death Touch. It's right there. Anyway, so.
They do be dying.
I know, right? So, 1/4 with Death Touch. Vampire Assassin, 1/4 Death Touch for 1 blue black. 1/4 Death Touch for 3. Face down creatures you control have 2 blue black. Turn this creature face up. If you can't, exile it. Then you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to an opponent, Cloak the top card of that player's library. Cloak being the exact same thing as Manifest, except the face down creature has ward. So Cloak is to disguise what Manifest is to morph. And so the idea here is you create a deck where you have assassins. Those assassins hit people. You are cloaking the top of their deck, and you can pay for and flip them. If that card that is turned face up is a permanent, you just get it. And if it's a spell, you just cast it. I love it. I love it so much.
I'm gonna have to see it played. I don't. That sounded like calculus to me. I know it wasn't.
Yeah, no, not really, but it's fine. Yeah.
Just a lot of words.
Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, no, let me
a lot of words with mechanics I already don't play.
Fair. See, okay. A legend from back in the day that I've always wanted to build a deck around that I have never figured out is Isidore Reality Sculptor, right? This is it's a 5-drop for a 3/4. Face down creatures get +1/+1. and you can pay 2 and a blue to turn target face down, creature face up. So this is a situation where if you have something with a morph cost of like 9, you can say, screw that, I'm only paying 3. And on top of that, your 2/2 face down creatures are 3/3s when he's on the battlefield. Now, I've wanted to build a deck around this for a long time because I think this guy is just great. Now, the problem is color restrictions. Being limited to only blue morphs really blows. Like, his ability is designed... What is
a good color for morph?
The best colors for morph are Sultai. Like, by a lot. Because morphs come in a couple of different flavors. You have utility morphs. Like, okay, just go with me here. So you have cards like Willbender. I prefer the original art, but it's fine. This is what came up. It'll work. This card, when it's turned face up, change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. So this is like deflecting SWAT before deflecting SWAT was cool, right? That's what we're doing with this. So if something is targeting one of your things, you can just say, nope, target that thing instead. And it only costs 2 mana to flip face up. So great, you get this, when it's face down, it's kind of this loaded gun where you can do that and your opponent doesn't know you have it unless it's been flipped up. Or if you're not playing a morph deck, if you're in Commander and somebody just plays a face down creature and you have no reason to believe they have morphs in their deck, aside from that, just assume it's Willbender because it's like the best one. So you can just assume if they have 2 blue mana open, just be aware that you might.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so that's the idea with Willbender. That's
okay, but if a blue player has 2 blue mana on, just beware.
Well, yeah, no, that's just But then there are other morph cards. If I can spell, that'd be good.
Don't need to, it's fine.
Like in green, you have things like these. You have the Timmy morph creatures. I pulled up Krosan Colossus, which is a 9/9 with morph for 6 green. So in a world where having a 9/9 stat block was worthy of costing 9 mana, man, can you imagine? Just it's such a fun thought, but man, those days are so far gone. The idea behind this card is you can cheat out a 9/9 for 8.
For 3.
Effectively. You pay 3 face down and then you pay it for 8, but you get it a turn sooner because, you don't have to wait until you have 9, is the idea. Well, these cards work great alongside cards like Isidore, because Isidore can turn this thing face up for 3. So that's where the benefit comes in. Isidore is great.
Oh, nasty.
Isidore is great when you have the opportunity to get these big, dumpy green morphs. That's where like it really shines. And there are a bunch of these, by the way. So the idea is you have these face down creatures and you can turn them face up and they're either big creatures in combat or they have some utility. You know, so you have Willbender, which is a good example of blue, where like I'm going to surprise you with this effect. That's kind of like a spell. In green, my little 2/2 is now a 9/9. Freaking deal with it. I love it. My favorite, by the way, on this, I don't get to talk about it often, but Titanic Bullvox. This was a common from Scourge that was in my very first deck ever, and it's just, I love it. 7/4 trample. You can imagine if somebody's doing their combat math and they're anticipating a 2/2, having it be a 7/4 trample changes that dramatically. It's pretty cool. So having that, being able to kind of sneak and like ambush your opponent is it's a cool thing. But then there are also other ones. There are other ones that when they deal damage to a player, you get some kind of benefit. And the idea is you're attacking with them face down. The opponent doesn't know what they are. And so they pick their blockers, hoping that they block the thing that does a thing if it hits them.
I need this.
Ebonblade Reaper, yes you do.
I have Tiny Bones, and I have Conrad with a Mind Crank.
Yeah, so the way the Ebonblade Reaper works, when it attacks, you lose half your life rounded up. But note, if it's face down when you attack, you don't. That never triggers. But whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. So it predates Quietus Spike. This is kind of that effect before that existed. And I have this actually, I'm just going to call it what I'm going to say the way I think it. I have this in my Anna Margaret deck. Because, fun fact, I have an Anna Margaret commander deck. Because in MagicCon Minneapolis, I have an Olivia Crimson Bride deck. And I wasn't quite working for me, and I was thinking I need to take this apart, right? It's not quite there. And then I met up with Anna Margaret. She was doing kind of a signing thing at the Creator Corner, and I just met up. And I met up with her. I met her in Philadelphia, so I just came up to say hi. And she was handing out business cards.
She's so nice.
She is the best. Yeah, 100%.
So damn nice. Oh my god, she's like, I'm gonna say it. She's the nicest person in the Magic
100%
creator community.
And you know what? I don't think anyone is going to take offense to that.
She's our Julianne Moore. She's our Hugh Jackman.
I don't think anyone's going to take offense to you saying that. I don't think anybody else is going to be like, but what about me? Because like, oh, but Anna, yeah, that's...
like, I'm sorry. You are at best.
But yes.
Second place.
She was handing out a business card, which is a cosplay of her as Olivia Crimson Bride. So I had her sign it.
Gorgeous.
And I now use this as my commander, and instead of scrapping the Olivia deck, I revamped it and invested in it and made it much better. And if anyone gets pissy about proxies, yes, I do have the official one behind it. But who cares? Like everybody wants Anna Margaret as their commander, so haha.
I got a Yawgmoth that Yawgoth made.
I love it.
And it's spoiled and it's beautiful. And I didn't want a Yawgmoth deck, but I am building a skeleton ship deck.
Get it in there. I love it. But
so
anyway,
it's mostly built, and that's what's in there. But I get it. We got proxies of our friends.
Proxies, friendly proxies. They're great. But yes. So in any event,
disguise and morph that we can now combine and just have an obscene amount of upside downs.
Yes. So Ebon Blade Reaper is super fun. Because if you're doing that morph shell game, do flippity flops, it's a lot of fun. It also works if it enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. That's why it's in Olivia. I discard it so that Olivia attacks and then brings it onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. And so it's just like, I love it because like this is just a little 1/1. Yeah, you can block it. You absolutely can, but like
doesn't matter.
If you don't, it's gonna hurt real bad. And if you do, it goes back to my graveyard and it's coming back at you next turn.
It's coming back.
I love
no matter
I love it. Anyway, so that's
if it's vampires, you're gaining life.
Yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. Like, it's yeah, you get it. But in any event, Atrata is clearly...
I like vampires.
Yeah, right? Speaking of vampires, Atrata is clearly a commander designed with face-down creatures in mind. That's the idea. And it works alongside manifest cards, your reality shifts and the like. That totally works in here. And it gives us access to 2 colors. Now, we don't get the big green monsters. Like, we don't have those unless our opponent is playing them and we can steal them.
Yes.
But all the same, this allows you to also... Like, you can build this in a couple of ways. You can build Atrata hardcore in the more face-down direction. You can go all the disguise payoffs and all the morph payoffs in these colors.
Fun.
There's a lot of ways to do that, and it's pretty neat. I'm definitely all for it. You could also just go full Kindred typal assassin. That's also an option. Because, whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to an opponent, you cloak the top card. So if you just have a bunch of assassins, you can just steal all your opponent's stuff. You still end up with a bunch of face-down things, but they're not yours. And the best part is, too, when you hit one of your opponents with this and you cloak the top card of that player's library, they don't get to see what it is. But you control it as a face-down creature, so you do. You can look at it whenever.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. So it's super fun. I love this design space.
I love that.
Yeah.
And there are cards that do allow you to look at face-down creatures at all times.
Yep.
There's one, oh my god, there's one I just freaking made on Arena, and it's a 1-drop, and it's from the Tarkir block, and I cannot freaking remember its name. It's like a 1-drop artifact.
Yes.
I think it allows you, or maybe it just allows you, it allows you to look at the top card of your deck and face-down creatures at any time.
I can see the artwork. I know exactly what card you mean, except I don't know the name, and that's
another
the part that I need.
And then I think it does an activated thing. Like, I'm surprised I don't see more of it, because people are always looking for cards that help you look at the top card of your library. And it's a 1-drop, and it's colorless.
Lens of Clarity.
Yes.
Yeah. You can look at the top card of your library, and at face-down creatures you don't control. Yep. So something like this all of a sudden makes a lot of sense. The reason that you don't see this more often is it just showed up in cons. I think a ton of Brawl players and a ton of people, people who are like casual on Arena,
like even on paper. Even on paper, this is like a very budget way of being able to look at the top card of your deck. This is not an expensive card on paper.
No, not at all.
It's a 1-drop. It's colorless. It goes in anything, everything.
Yeah, and the knowledge of the top of your deck is a big deal. Like being able to time when you hit your rampant growth or farseek effects to shuffle stuff away, like. Even if you're not casting, like so many of these effects let you cast the top card of your deck. Even if you don't have that, it's still great. Like, yeah.
I would love this in Nira.
Nira?
in Nira, it always being able to see the top card of your deck will let me know. Not that one, Neera, the Wild Mage. It lets you.
Right, your invitational card. Right, that's
literally me.
Right.
But because you're just yeeting shit off the top of your deck yeeting shit until you get to a non-land card, it's very useful to know whether or not the card on top is going to be a land, or whether or not it's going to be a card you don't want to spend the ability on and you want to put at the bottom of your deck, because otherwise that deck aims to be able to blink Nira so I could trigger the effect more than once per turn. So ideally, being able to see it is going to let me know in advance whether or not I want to play it. So something like that on a budget like I need it to be.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Sounds great. Sounds great to me.
So yeah, Lens of Clarity.
Yes.
It's not bad. Well, and it's funny, this image, you'll notice that sparkly stuff.
Cool.
It is. And it's kind of, the other thing I really like about it is morph creatures are depicted as these like big swirling masses of like bright orange energy. That's like what a face down creature looks like for some reason. And the idea that like their energy or their true identity is concealed behind this thing. And the Lens of Clarity is looking at one of those and seeing the exact creature that it is. And I'm sure that's a reference to a known morph creature that was in cons, but yeah.
That's sick.
Pretty neat. Yeah, I don't know cons all that well, so I don't know exactly what.
I don't either. I'm useless. Yeah. So I saw a tweet the other day that said, Magic players can't tell you the year they started playing, but they can tell you the block they started playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, most recent Zendikar, end of knowledge.
Yeah, no, I've looked it up enough times because I've shared the story enough that I do happen to know it was 2003. But the only reason I know that is because I looked up the Scourge release date. Yes.
For me, it was only 2020.
Wow.
That's why I'm so bad at it.
Well, I just love it. I love just having some background knowledge on some history. Because every now and then I'm able to pull out some really obscure uncommon from like the early 2000s, and people are like, how the hell do you know that? It's like, dude, I have like 12 of those in my bulk right now.
Honestly, what I've started doing, because I have to build a lot of decks on Moxfield for my streaming series.
Yeah.
And I want to optimize them, but a lot of times I also want them to be thematic. So when I'm going to build, it's hard to like look at a million lists and do that kind of research. So I do two things. First, I pull up EDH Rec.
Yep.
And first thing I look at is utility lands.
Nice.
Which might sound silly, but I'm like, what nonsense do I need as like a very difficult to remove thing? Something people don't run a lot of. Bet.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then I pull up Scryfall and I just start searching random fucking words. Random things that I think would be cool in the deck in various ways, or just a color and a legendary. The amount of times that I've just looked up blue legendaries and just went through page after page after page to find the mechanics I needed, or find a unique ability that would absolutely help the deck. Like I building Jacob Hawken for my episode of the Salt Factory next week. I have Galena in there. I didn't know who the hell Galena was. It doesn't play into Jacob Hawkins' ability, but it does help me deal yo shit.
Empress Galena? That's nice. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I do that too. Like when I know, okay, there's a certain effect that I know is going to make this deck good. Like, I know I want some element of this. I go into Scryfall, Oracle search, in quotes, with, like, a little piece of rules text that I want to find.
Whatever it is that you're looking for.
And then, like, maybe the colors of the commander. Go. What do we got? And it's always fun, too, when I fire something like that. Where, like, yeah, we could look at, you know, if I'm building something that cares about the top of my deck. You know, I could do, like, Oracle search, top of your library. Search, what do we got? You know, you'd be surprised.
today I was searching enter the battlefield.
Yep.
And cannot draw.
Oh, that's a mean one. I don't like that.
Okay, but here's the thing. Even though it's slightly meta, the Jacob Hawken deck that I'm building really leans into investigation and clues, which in mono blue, as it stands, is not strong. And the deck is meant that it has to be a legal card. We can't put Karlov shit in there. It has to be a legal,
okay.
currently released card that goes in the deck. So limiting it to that means I need some stacks effect somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I have things that play into casting instances and sorceries because it helped with investigation.
Okay.
So I'm really low on enchantments. So being able to like trigger that kind of nonsense of like, I'm going to steal your shit. It's almost like a bizarre stacks effect.
Right. Well,
And
yeah.
it's great in Jacob Hawken because I'm stealing Jacob Hawkins and stopping a Jacob Hawken player from being able to tap and draw additional cards is very useful.
Yeah.
I would have done this in this kind of deck anyway. First ad was that one particular Narset.
We all know it. We all hate it. Yeah.
First ad.
Of course it was. This card, can you believe this is an uncommon?
It shouldn't be.
It's so ridiculous. The Planeswalker passives, they push so hard, and this one was like, why?
This one, and Ashiok are my favorites.
That also, yeah, Dream Render, insane. I can't tell you. Okay, I love my graveyards. I love them. I love them so much. They're my favorite thing in all of Magic. The number of times that I've been playing some Graveyard Matter deck, and people have been milling me, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We're going to be just fine. All right, sweet.
But it's
Dude,
always that
next turn, I've got my Cruelty of Gixxed up. This is going to be sick. Ashiok Dream Render. Come on, God. Like, I want to throw them up. I want to flip the table every time. It's like, again?
I do a lot of Graveyard Exile for Tiny Bones.
You should. Yeah, it's important.
So it's just a ton of discard, and now everything's exiled. You cannot do shit. I can bring my shit back from the graveyard, so me discarding is nothing.
Yeah. Just that is very important. I like that you do that.
And I do a lot of each player, so I can be like, I'm harming myself too. It's fine.
It's fine. I'm just getting rid of
I'm
some
not
stuff.
asking you to do anything I wouldn't do.
Yeah, no, that's important. So it's easy in when you're doing discard. The thing I think a lot of people don't understand is, yeah, it is a strategy that is so easy to build poorly. It is so easy. So many people are just like, I just run Waste Knot and and a bunch of Mind Rot effects. This is gonna be great. The problem is you get to like turn 4, and then all of a sudden your opponents are just hellbent for the rest of the game. And like they just don't have any cards, and you have a whole bunch of cards in your hand that say if target player discards 2 cards, and it's just like,
yep.
All right,
That's
cool.
why I liked Tiny Bones as a commander. Because, I want you to not have any cards as quickly as possible. I don't care about continuing to use the discard effects.
Right.
I will have a fucking board of chump blockers and useless enchantments. All I need is enough mana to spam you. So I have that Liliana that mass produces goddamn frickin' swamps.
Yep.
And then I have Aklataz and Blitzwing in there, or whatever their stupid names are, or Aklataz, whatever it is. Basically, whenever opponent loses life, they lose that much life.
Oh, the Bloodletter
again
of Aklataz, yeah.
There's that one enchantment that does, I think, Painful Quandary, I think, that does the same thing.
Yep.
Oh, no, not... Yeah,
you don't have
no,
Wind Reflection in there?
Oh, no, Wind Reflection might be in there.
Okay.
It's a little bit budget, so I may not have had all of them in there.
There are a lot of them.
And then the fucking Transformer, Blitzwing. I almost put Warlock class in there, but I decided against it.
Okay. I honestly...
Now, it's always forever moving around. I have like 15 copies of
Wait,
this.
a commander deck changes over time? What? I know, it's crazy. Warlock class is one of those cards that I think is highly underrated.
I do too.
I do, honestly, Chapter 1, at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. That's kind of whatever, but it might end up, you never know, because you're putting
But it's also useful.
1. And then Chapter 2...
In a vampire deck, in a light, like, this is so fun and very specific, even at just the first level for one. And it's an uncommon.
Yeah, and once you have it down, I mean, the thing is, I almost never get to level 3, but I do play this pretty frequently, because you play it on 1, great. Level 2, though, when it becomes level 2, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. You're putting 2 cards into your yard, and you get to draw one. And it's not just mill 3, you know, you get selection. So if one of those is the reanimation spell you need, you pocket that stuff, and your opponent doesn't even see it. It's great. Yeah, I think it's quite strong. I like this card quite a bit.
The amount of times I've been able to just grab Shieldred Whispering One.
I don't doubt it. Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, everything's going to the graveyard. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no. And so, okay, I'm going to do my best to kind of dovetail this back into discussion about murders. No, it's fine. I know we both have tangents. That's part of the reason we do a long-form live show, because tangents. Yeah. So you'll notice the classes in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms have this vertical style where the art is on the left and the stuff, the rules text, is over on the right. There's a new card
They're
type.
Like sagas, but not.
Kind of like sagas, but not.
Oh my god, they're sagas, but they're like exclusive vacations.
Go on.
They're like your saga is an all-inclusive package, but like it's like an open bar, and this is like the cash bar.
The cash
it's
bar.
Like,
you need.
It's like. This is not the all-inclusive, and it ends up being twice as expensive while you're out. Like, this.
It's that restaurant where you think it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, and then you get to the register and they weigh your plate. Like, oh crap!
It's like, I mean, yeah, it's all you can eat. We just didn't say how.
You are allowed to eat however much you want, but it will.
And that's no hate. I love the class cards. Ranger class, Rogue class is my favorite, but I end up using. But funny enough, I use Druid class the most.
Druid class is the cost of entry on Druid class is very low, so that makes sense. Ranger class back in Standard, it was part of one of the best decks at the time. This card is quite strong.
It's still very strong. Even like in Commander when it comes out, we're like, I don't want to deal with your stupid green playing Ranger class ass.
Right? Well, and the funny thing is too, green does so many like heinous, like over the top huge things you have to deal with. When they play something like this that's just like good on rate, you're just like, I don't want to spend removal on that. Like I know you're gonna hit me with crazy big things later. Like I don't like but if I don't, it's gonna kill me. Like this sucks.
I have to get rid of this. I don't want to get rid of this, which to me is one of my favorite things about like throwing green in Golgari is like you put things in there nobody wants to deal with, so that you can put out the things that nobody wants to deal with.
Like the really good like value 2 and 3 drops are just so good for that in Commander. I love it. Where it's just like this looks like a minor inconvenience. You're not going to spend your removal on it, but I'm gonna.
Rogue class was my favorite.
Yeah, this is a good one for that. Yeah,
and
it only gets
class,
bigger and bigger once you get to level 3. Oh man, you're off the races. But anyway.
Now, I like Rogue class for the exile and being able to yeet exile. And now that we're having exile kind of pop in with Karlov a whole bunch, these are Arata's colors.
I mean, Atrata, Rogue class, that could easily,
we got that new Ashiok and Eldraine that is disgusting with exile.
Yeah.
I built an Oathbreaker around that baby.
Ooh, nice. I dig it.
And my child love Ashiok.
Cool.
I identify as Ashiok.
I respect that. All right.
Vibe.
But we have cases now. This is a new enchantment subtype. So the example that I brought up is the case of the Filched Falcon, which is a Maltese Falcon reference. Clearly, they're not even trying to hide it. Which, okay, great. When this case enters the battlefield, you investigate. So cases always have some kind of either an ETB effect or a static ability that you get just by having it online. There's a base, kind of a level 1 of these, if you will. Then there's a condition that has to be solved. And in the case of the Filched Falcon, to solve it, you have to control 3 or more artifacts. Then, once the case is solved, you get a bonus. And in this case, the case of the Filched Falcon, once it's solved, it gains another ability where you can pay 2 and a blue, sacrifice this case, put 4 +1/+1 counters on target non-creature artifact. It becomes a 4/4 bird creature token with flying in addition to its other types. So whether or not this card is good, you are welcome to debate that in the chat or in the comments. By all means, we encourage that. But this kind of shows the basics.
Up?
Hello, hello. This kind of shows the basics of what we're doing here.
This is cute.
Right? But now there,
like, yes, you have to kind of earn your way down it, but it's different. It's so different.
So it's funny. Funnily enough, this reminds me very much of classes. It also kind of reminds me of battles, where it enters, you get value, then you do a thing, you get more value, and there's this question of, okay, did I get enough value off of this to justify
I like
putting it in
this
the deck?
better than a battle.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays. The thing with battles is like all of them are just you have to redirect damage. Then once you've done damage, you're good. And I like the idea that these are situational. You know, I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's why that, and it's a temporary thing. So there's, you know me, I like murdering all my own crap so I can murder you. Yeah. So this seems like a good time for me.
Absolutely. The other cool thing about it, though, is that it's an enchantment.
Yeah.
That's the thing about battles. If you're sitting with a disenchant in your hand and a battle hits the field,
you're screwed.
Yeah, now those don't click just because battles are just new. Whereas with this, it's still an enchantment. So you can treat it just like you would a saga or one of those classes. Like all the stuff that can answer an enchantment can still answer these. So it just kind of plays better into the eternal nature of Commander. Like there's just more stuff that can work with them. So I kind of like that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, there are a couple of rules interactions that I think are important, and I'm a sucker for crazy, weird rules. So I want to talk about the solving condition, for starters. Another thing that I'm actually totally a nerd about is, like, typesetting, and I really wish there was a wider margin here. That would have been really nice. Anyway, the T is practically touching the artwork.
No, I'm with you.
Why is the T touching the artwork? Anyway, sorry.
I don't like it.
Minor nitpick.
Which at the moment, honestly, it's the only thing I don't like about this because it's an uncommon for one, and this is...
Yeah, this is
fun.
Fine. Like, it's a one-mana enchantment. It produces a clue
I'm
when it enters.
I'm gonna use it at pre-release. I'm gonna use it at pre-release. I'm gonna use it in standard, 100%.
Yeah, this card is just perfectly fine. If you care about clues, great. If you're doing other clue stuff, you're gonna end up with I know, right? And it does some value on turn 1. Like, it fits on your curve nicely. You get the clue. You can either draw a card off it immediately on turn 2 if you don't have anything else to do, or you can load up artifacts, and you could ultimately create a 4/4 creature out of it if it goes unchecked. Yeah, and this is another one of those things. It's just decent value, and people will not want to spend removal on it. Great.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what we're talking about. So, sweet. The one thing that I want to talk about, though, when it comes to solving them. So, if a case is unsolved, when you go to your end step, the case kind of checks the board state and sees, okay, do you meet the requirements? So in this case, do you control 3 or more artifacts? If yes, it triggers. It's a triggered ability at that point. So there's this ability that hits the stack. Well, it works just like, targeted spells and effects. The conditions have to be met when it resolves. And so in this case, if I have 3 artifacts online, this trigger hits and you go, oh crap, I don't want to let you solve that. Granted, this one's not that big of a threat, but some of them might be. Yeah. You might go, oh crap, I don't want that to solve so that you don't get access to that. And I'm going to abrade one of your clue tokens with this on the stack. Now, all of a sudden, I only have 2 artifacts. It's no longer true. The case is not solved. The trigger fizzles, and then we move on.
Now, that being said, the flavor of needing to gather several clues to solve a case is making me so fucking happy.
It's pretty great.
It's bringing me joy.
It definitely fits, and that's fun.
I love it.
Yeah. No, so it's cool. So that's a fun one. There are a couple of others. Like, we've seen a few other cases of varying quality, but in general, they seem interesting. They seem like cool design space, and I have no doubt there's going to be some mythic case that just blows everything out of the water and is absolutely insane. And everybody salivates over it, thinks it's incredible, and then it sees basically no play, and one of the uncommon ones is going to step up and be a phenomenal role player in the top deck in standard. That's typical. Anyway. Although I suppose Invasion of Fiora is a battle that sees some commander play, and there are a couple others.
I love that. I play that. I really like that. It's a board wipe.
Yep.
And it can be a weirdly specific board wipe.
Sure can be. Yep.
I've used. I don't usually. I usually just go full tilt. But sometimes the threat is not the legendary because the legendaries are yours.
Indeed. And so sometimes you just need to, let it be. But speaking of legendaries, and speaking of commander, here's a card that all of you, everyone who hears these words needs to be ready for. It is going to make so many waves in commander pods near you. It is the new Rakdos commander.
Oh god, yes.
Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. Holy cow. Strap in. This card is insane. Absolutely insane.
I don't want to do it.
That's fair. All right, so moving on.
It's going to be great in my Raphael deck.
Yeah, it is.
Because I refuse to build her.
So Judith Carnage Connoisseur is a 3/4 for 3 black red. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one. That spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink. Or you create a 2/2 red imp creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. So you get double devils. Granted, they can only hit your opponents, but they hit all of them.
It's amazing.
Death Touch and Lifelink is absolutely stupid. So, I mean, there are a couple of obvious cases with this, right? Like, if you drop this and then follow it up with a Blasphemous Act, the amount of life you're about to gain, not only do you clear the board of everything, including that random 20/20, the one that one player has, because Death Touch, but you then gain just an absolutely obscene amount of life. But this all of a sudden works with cards like End the Festivities or like Blazing Volley that are like, deal 1 damage to all creatures, you know? All of a sudden, like,
hilarious.
This gets out of hand and very stupid very fast.
Yeah, no, unreasonable. I don't want. Now, the first thing that came to mind is, will this synergize with Rowan? Probably.
Oh yeah, they'll find a way. Yep. There's a will, there's a way. The other thing that this does, I mean, at the end of the day, lifelink. I mean, to use Rowan's ability, you need to be losing life, right? So this helps you regain it. The other thing, that ability giving permanence death or giving spells death touch. There are a lot of spells out there that have a downside of dealing you damage. Such as Command the Dreadhorde. So for 6, choose any number of creatures and or planeswalker cards in graveyards. And then Command the Dreadhorde deals damage to you equal to the total converted mana value of those cards. Put them onto the battlefield under your control. So this, alongside Judith, it is it's Rise of the Dark Realms, but it hits Planeswalkers too. Because what happens is, it deals damage to you, but that damage has lifelink, so you gain that much life. By the time the board checks whether or not you need to be dead or not, you've regained the life and you're back up where you started.
I don't want to talk about this. I have anxiety. My God.
It's so good. Anyway, the amount of dumb crap you can do.
No, this card is going to be fun. We're going to see it.
People are going to be playing this. It's going to happen, and you are going to get rocked by it. Like, hold your removal if this is in a command zone near you.
People will have this built this week on Moxfield.
Guaranteed. I'm sure they're already out there. Like, this particular card got spoiled, I think, 2 days ago now. So, yeah, no, people have lists, I'm sure. Yeah, I have no doubt. Yeah, it's great. This actually, if I may propose, I know the Salt Factory is scheduled through 2024, but for 2025, we might have one to consider for future episodes.
Let's see how nightmarish it is in play.
Yeah, that's a good. Yes,
because
that's
we've all seen the commanders that were like, oh, and then they fizzle.
Yeah, that does happen.
I don't really think that's gonna be one of them because.
The upside here, and on top of that, even if you don't want to wipe the board, even if you're not dealing damage with these spells, and so the Death Touch lifelink isn't relevant, you're still creating 2/2s, and when they die, they damage people. Like, it's still good. Like, being able to.
And that's honestly why I want to put it in my Raphael deck. It gives imps lifelink and a 1/1, so it'll be a 3/3 with lifelink.
I'm never gonna look at this card the same way again now that I've been playing.
That then dies, gives 1 damage. This, yeah,
it fits. Yeah, I mean, even just something as simple.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as like, I'm gonna use a Go for the Throat to kill one of your creatures, and I'm gonna get an imp. Like, that's a big value swing. Like, that's legit. There's something to it.
And also, if you put things like the Black Enchantment Classics, Exquisite Blood.
Yeah. When in doubt.
is my most used enchantment. It's not even my favorite, but it's absolutely my most used.
I mean, it's just real good.
It might be my favorite.
It's just real good.
I think it's my favorite. I bought a Japanese version because I desperately wanted a real fucking not proxied one. And I got it. I got it in Vegas. I splurged.
Excellent.
They
Excellent.
only had the Japanese version.
Okay, then. So let me...
It was fun, though, because I went shopping as Tiny Bones.
I mean, that's pretty slick.
I went shopping as Tiny Bones the whole time, and then I get to the register, and it was a pain in the ass to see, so I finally just took the mask off, and the guy behind the counter recognized me. He goes, oh!
That's awesome.
I'm like, I've been recognized like 5 times in my life. I'm so excited right now.
That rules. Yeah.
Granted, they were all at cons, but whatever.
Hey, it still counts.
Yep, this is what I bought.
Yeah, that's pretty
nice.
It's good. It's a good card. Now,
Japanese writing is just beautiful.
It really is. Yeah. I always find it funny too if you order those online a lot of the times, like the foreign the non-English language cards are cheaper. If the card is really iconic and everybody knows what it does, like what's the harm? And
I will
awesome.
also honestly just print out the fucking thing on a piece of paper and shove it behind the damn card so that if I forget, because I have a brainstorm that I, for the life of me, cannot remember the whole ability of brainstorm. I don't know how, but I have, like, it's beautiful.
Right.
It's the full art.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit that it's in Japanese. Give me that shit. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about Judith, and speaking of other legends that I'm going to overrate and say are potentially problematic before they're proven and therefore look like a fool later, we also have Massacre Girl, known killer. We have a new Massacre Girl in the house. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. And we're seeing a live reaction here, and I gotta say, it's kind of making me happy, because, yeah. This looks like a good reaction. I think this is positive. Yeah, there it is. All right. Awesome. Yeah, Massacre Girl, known killer. 4/4 for 2 black with menace. Creatures you control have Wither, which is the half of Infect everybody forgets about. Wither, when a creature deals damage to another creature, they deal it in the form of -1/-1 counters. It replaces the other damage that it would deal. And then, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. Now, I also want to note...
Which with -1/-1s.
Yep.
Any sort of 1 damage to board spell is a sweeper with the death touch, right?
Yep. Grande, it absolutely is, 100%. If you give, an End of Festivities, if you give the End of Festivities Death Touch, 1 damage to each opponent, each creature that and Planeswalker they control, that's Death Touch all around. Everything dies. Yeah. And you gain life equal to the damage dealt. In that case. Yeah, no. Judith is silly. But yeah. It does the thing you want.
So, I need both Massacre Girls for Skeleton Ship.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So the reason this card is fantastic, there is one piece of text that is missing on this text box that, honestly, even if it was there, it would still be a good card. This doesn't say this ability only triggers once each turn. So if you have board sweepers like the Meat Hook Massacre, or just good old-fashioned Languish,
or just Massacre Girl,
or just previous Massacre Girl, or Massacre Worm, that's really the bottom line.
Deluge.
Yeah, if you're doing if the word massacre is in the name, you're gonna be good. Like, all of them are good. So these sweepers that reduce toughness, the -1/-1 effects, these are gonna draw you a card for every creature killed if Massacre Girl is online.
Yawgmoth. Who?
Right? Oh, I didn't even think about adding this to friggin' Yawgmoth combo. Oh, shut up. No. That deck doesn't need to draw more cards. What are you doing? No, that deck does not need to draw more cards. We don't need this. Yeah. And on top of that, because all your creatures have Wither, if creatures are dying in combat to your creatures, that damage is being done in -1/-1 counters. Death Touch examples aside, like, obviously if you have a 1 with Death Touch and kills a 5/5, actually, I don't... Yeah, no, it's still dealing damage, so that should still kill it, but its toughness won't be down to 0 at that point. But, if I'm trading a 3/1 for a 3/3, Well, when my creature hitting, let's 2/3/3s. I don't know, but let's say we're having a hill giant battle for some reason. If they trade off, my creature had Wither, and as a result, your toughness, your creature's toughness was reduced to 0 or lower, and as a result, I draw a card. So like, I blew you out in combat, and I'm drawing cards. That seems good to me.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And this is so my style. This is so absolutely my style. I would be happy to kill my own shit. I'm happy to kill your shit. I'm happy to kill everybody's shit to draw cards.
Mm-hmm. You know,
like, and I want to point out, there is no draw card, lose a life.
Yeah, there's no life loss. That's the other thing. In black, when you're drawing cards, you're supposed to lose life. This time, nope.
Very often, very often. So it's nice to find that rare effect. It's gross to put it on this card. Like, there's quite literally no cost to you to put this out for 4 as a 4/4.
It's so good. Yeah.
So, the flavor text. Girl.
Yeah,
Pop
did I
off
do it?
Queen.
Yeah.
Pop off Queen.
I also just absolutely love the number of times that on various social media I've made slay jokes related to this. I mean, come on, it's right there. Anyway, yeah. I also, this does kind of bring into one of the flavor details about this set that I find really funny. It's a murder mystery on Ravnica. There's a literal character named Massacre Girl, and there's a murder circus. Additionally, the Orzhov Guild is run by ghosts. Could we be in a place where death is, like, any less common and have stakes? Like, I don't know, when a character dies, it's just like, yeah, okay, they'll just be back as a ghost later, and, like, oh, did someone die? Like, yeah, no, hundreds of people died just yesterday at the Cranarium.
Could have been fun on New Capenna. Could have been fun on New Capenna.
Yeah, New Capenna could have fit. Yeah, and I would have felt a little, like, on New Capenna, actually.
Like, yes, there's a fuck ton of murder, but it's all like mob families. So the idea of detectives, investigations, looking for clues, trying to find the racketeering charges that you could bring against the entire mob. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and like we've saw, characters being killed in New Capenna, and it was a big deal. When a character died, it felt like it had some weight. Whereas like on Ravnica, I mean, we have
practically lawless. It's fancy Wild West. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, we've got, like, Agris Kaz, who's a classic character, but, he immediately...
Agris Kaz.
He immediately just came back as a ghost. And we have a new one of him, too, by the way. Like, so... And I gotta say, this card, also fantastic, and I definitely want to talk about it. And when I say fantastic, I mean it is a perfect flavor win for me. I love it, because Agris Kaz is one of those cards that, from way back in the day, in the original Ravnica, where I remember reading it and thinking, man, this should be great. But every single time I played it, without fail, it underperformed and got dumpstered. And I fully expect that's exactly what's going to happen with this card, too. So it is a 2/4 for 2 red, white, double strike vigilance. Those are good keywords. Whenever this card enters the battlefield or attacks, choose up to 1 target creature. If it's suspected, exile it. Otherwise, suspect it. So if you're doing suspect stuff, this is removal. Yeah. Great. And if not, you're able to, do the suspect thing, which we've discussed. If you're doing aggro, which Boros obviously wants to do, suspect is a powerful mechanic. Make my stuff tough to block. Make your stuff not able to block. These are all of the things you want. And so this guy being able to add in on that, or kind of step in and like take that to the next level, is interesting. If suspect is strong, if we have strong suspect enablers, I anticipate this card's going to be pretty good. If you're not, if you don't have any other suspect support, like if
how much suspect is in red?
And all right, if Agris drops and there are no suspects on the board, that kind of sucks. Now, if you can give Agris haste, Agris drops, suspects something, and then attacks and exiles it.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat. A little double tap.
That's fun.
So there are opportunities.
And it's in Boros, it's so easy to give shit haste.
Yeah,
it's so easy.
It's not hard at all. Yeah,
it might as well. It's to me, it's one of those things, like, you're just simply gonna gain life in white. You're just simply gonna pay life in black. Like, you're just gonna be able to equip shit cheap
Yep.
and give things haste.
Yeah.
And probably double strike.
Yeah, and this guy already has double strike. So if you're doing like equipment shenanigans, which Boros is obviously going to be doing, you're going to be able to give it the hammer and just go to town, right? Who doesn't love that?
It's gonna be kind of hilarious as a Voltron deck if you think about it.
It could be, yeah. So anyway, look, this is an interesting card. It has the potential to be quite strong. I think it's going to depend whether or not this is going to be playable in standard for sure. But like obviously as a commander, if you're doing the Boros thing, honestly, it's kind of neat to have a different take on Boros. Although to be fair, like it's actually not that different than most other Boros things we've seen. You know, my last Boros commander was Aowen, Fearless Knight, and it's like, yeah, she's good. I like her, but it's not like I drop it, I exile one of your big things, and then punchies. It's just like, it's Boros. I go punchies. That's.
I don't have a Boros commander. I built a Winota. It was great, but it wasn't my style.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
So I ended up taking it apart.
Yeah, I gotcha. I was just checking how long we've been live. And I still had the.
I mean,
play up. My bad.
I could probably go till 5.
Sounds good. All right.
I do have to prep for D&D tonight.
Understood. All
Which
right.
I am live streaming, just saying.
Hey! Over at Brujaja Gaming on Twitch. Just saying. Yes. Drop those follows. Do it. Do it. But yeah, so at the end of the day, what? Drop the follows. Do it. Do it. But yeah, so no, Agris is fine. I think it's an interesting card. We have so many others to discuss. Oh, we have a rare cycle of lands. Rare lands.
Oh.
They're surveil
lands.
lands.
The surveil lands.
Yes, so they enter tapped.
I like that.
They surveil 1. But here's the thing that makes these really badass, like way more badass than the temples. Yeah, so they're the temples, right? Which are the tap duels that come in each crowd.
They're also land types, not just a land.
Exactly. So we have the types. You'll notice, like, we're looking at the Raucous Theater, which is a swamp mountain. And so it's fetchable. You know, I can use, like, obviously a fetch land, or I can use a Farseek to go find this. Whereas the temple isn't. And this also counts for a domain. It does all the things you want. Like, it's quite strong. So I like this a lot.
I feel like I hope I pull many of these colors, and I'm not gonna share them with anybody.
Fair enough. Yeah, Rakdos.
Not even for money.
Rakdos is looking real good. But yeah, so those are great. Oh, you know another one that actually looks really good, at least for standard. I don't know if it's going to impact. It's probably not going to impact Commander too much, but people were losing their damn mind over this card, and rightfully so. No More Lies.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, No More Lies. White and a blue for an instant. Counter target spell, lets its controller pays 3. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into your owner's graveyard. The reason this is a big deal is because Wizards has made it very clear time and time and time and time again.
And it's an uncommon.
Yeah, I know, right? That they will never, ever, 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 ever reprint Mana Leak into standard. We have gotten Quench. We have gotten Make Disappear. These other variants.
So they made worse. And by worse, I mean better.
They haven't reprinted this card in a Commander product in over a decade. I think maybe 2 at this point. Or into a standard product. So like this card is like the gold standard for soft counter spells. If you have a soft counter spell in the early game,
oh god, and that's a common.
Is as good as it gets. Yeah, well, this was from. I mean, this one is from this one's from Double Masters. I think the last time it was printed in a standard product was it was M12. Was the last one.
A common.
Yeah, full on common. So yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, spells used to be real good. But anyway, No More Lies going into standard. It is, so it's Azorius, so it's not colorless in blue, so you have to have white mana, but let's be, if you're doing Azorius control anyway, that's not hard. You got that. And then it's just straight up Mana Leak, where the spells controller has to pay 3 rather than 2. If you don't think that's a big deal, it just, I don't know what to tell you, it absolutely is. The number of times right now, you playing around to Make Disappear, making sure you have, to play, you wait till turn 4 to play your 2-drop. Okay.
Yeah.
That's reasonable. You can make that happen. If your opponent's not applying pressure, that's doable. Waiting until turn 5 to play your 2-drop? Oof. That hurts. Like that is a tough spot to be in. So I think this card is quite strong. I also think it's going to be, it's going to see a ton of play in Constructed. We'll see how it goes in Commander specifically. But if you're if you're playing the counter game.
Mana Leak's fun.
Yeah.
Mana Leak is fun. Plus, if you have anything that doubles a spell.
Yep, being able to double tap that is fantastic. Yeah, there are a crap ton. Also, another one we can just breeze past it because it's a card we all know. Because let's be honest, we all know it. But I'm assuming this is going to drive the price down, which is great. And flavorfully, it is an absolute home run.
What? Yeah.
Assassin's Trophy.
Oh yeah.
We get a new ass trophy, and the fact that this depicts a murdered person with like some flourishes, like a calling card from the murderer. That's such a beautiful flavor for Assassin's Trophy. Like, it's just so good. I love it.
Look at the shape.
I mean,
the spiral.
there's a spiral.
What does that mean? What's that?
I'm assuming that some. I mean, it definitely looks Golgari-esque, but that might just be the colors, and it's.
What are my people up to?
I don't know, right? Well, we have a new Spider Mommy. Have you seen her?
I haven't seen shit.
Well, I'm gonna show you shit.
Is it my girl? Is it my girl?
Probably not. It's one of the girls. Is your girl Izoni?
Yes.
Oh, then it is.
Yes. I don't like her other card. I wanted to so badly.
This one is gonna be much better for you.
Battlefield, let me collect. Done. Yes.
Collect evidence 4,
Yeah.
so exile 4 things. If you do, you rock out 2/1 black and green spider creature tokens. And you can sacrifice.
His new home.
So this is like Lolth, right? Like, so if you're doing Lolth or Shelob kind of spider stuff, Izoni's great. Additionally, you'll notice the 2/1 black and green spider creature tokens with Menace and Reach. Those are identical to the spiders that Lolth generates. So if you already have those tokens lying around, great, we got you. Yeah.
Spiderkin!
Yes. So you can do spider stuff.
Now I want to build a spider deck. Now.
So this is what Golgari's up to. Yeah, it's looking pretty good in my opinion. We have a 5/4 for 6 with Menace. Okay. So it can tangle in combat and likely survive. But the fact that whenever they enter the battlefield or attack, you collect evidence 4. So in Commander, you're exiling cards out of your own graveyard in Golgari. Like, you need to be willing to do that, which is already, like, that is counterintuitive to pretty much every Golgari deck I ever make. But if you're planning on doing that going in, you might have a higher density of spells. You might have more, you may not have a reanimation package. You might just not even put that in there at all. And, just with the understanding that I'm just going to churn and use my graveyard for other stuff. And that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, then you can sacrifice 4 tokens, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards, and you gain 2 life. So the surveil helps fill the yard, and then you also draw cards and gain life. And it's sacrifice 4 tokens of any kind, and you can do that at instant speed.
Not hard.
Nah, not hard at all. I think this card is going to be genuinely strong. And it's going to be strong in a casual commander kind of way. There's not going to be any CEDH lists around this, but there are going to be plenty.
We'll see some spider decks, I think, with her at the helm. Yeah. It'll be fun.
Yeah, some fun spider token decks. Let's go.
With her, 100%. Now, if I make a brawl deck with her, her other card makes goddamn sense.
Yes, all of a sudden, exactly. The other Izoni.
Finally.
The other Izoni. 1,000 dies, which, let's be honest,
it's trash.
It's real bad.
Why does it cost so much? That's the problem with it, in my opinion. Why does it cost so much? The sack, another creature, gain life, draw a card, beautiful. Undergrowth, super fun. 2/3, totally into it. 6?
Yeah.
4 would have been a little bit much.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like 4 would have been okay.
Would have been okay.
4 would have been fine for this. Honestly, nowadays,
4 would have been fine. 6 is insane.
If this exact card got printed today, it'd be 3. Like, let's be real. But that's power creep for you. At the end of the day, this is capable of
sense, and she's something you could cheat out.
Yeah.
Like, easy in Golgari.
Right.
Put her in a graveyard and yeet her onto the battlefield for free.
Yeah, that's what you do. I gotta say, though, the fact that she's only a 2/3 is pretty great. I have a historic deck with Alesha who smiles at death and who can reanimate her out of the yard. That's fun. Anyway, it's not good, but it's fun. Anyway.
Gross.
It is gross.
Love it.
Delightfully gross. But yeah, so there's that. We also have a new Planeswalker. We've seen the Planeswalker. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it because it's possibly
I collect Kaya. I'm obsessed with Kaya.
We have a new one for you. Yeah, this is possibly my favorite card from the set so far that we've seen. I think this card is savage. It's so Planeswalker, 2 white, black, starting loyalty 3. Passive ability says whenever one or more creatures you control and or creature cards in your graveyard are put into exile, you may choose a creature card from among them. Until the end of turn, target token you control becomes a copy of it, except it has flying. That's a lot, but trust me, it's cool. +2, surveil 2, then exile a card from your graveyard. Triggers the passive. +1, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. Makes
Plays
a token.
into all of her cards too.
Yep, makes a token that you need to do the thing. It also fits with the character exactly. -2, exile target creature you control. For each other player, exile up to 1 target creature that player controls. So you have to exile one of your things. That is a thing that is a very real cost, right? But when you think about that in terms of something like Rite of Oblivion, where you have to sacrifice one of your things to exile your opponent's thing, it kind of is the same vibe, except this hits every other player. So if you have a creature, if you have just anything on the board, like, all right, I'm going to sacrifice my Spirited Companion or my, you know, some temporary token I don't care about. I'm going to sacrifice a creature, and I'm going to exile everybody's commander off the battlefield. And then on top of that, if you do exile something that is, like, decent, like, is powerful, it triggers the passive, and if you have another token lying around, it can just become that until the end of turn. Like, the possibilities here and the opportunity for creative gameplay with this Planeswalker is so, like, sky's the limit with this thing. I cannot wait.
I can't wait to see the Oathbreaker decks that come out of this one.
Oh, that's going to be disgusting. Yes.
I can't wait to build the Brawl deck that I'm going to make on this one. And I can't wait to get a copy of her for Lieza, Forgotten Archangel. That deck is getting grosser and grosser and grosser, which is honestly nice because I have a lot of proxies and shit I cannot afford.
I get
so
that.
I'm replacing it with budget stuff that is just as gross. I pulled the Ashiok from Eldraine, so.
Hell yeah. Good hit. Good hit. Yeah. And
yeah,
this
no,
Kaya,
this is very exciting.
This Kaya has a 4-drop, synergized into Ashiok on, you know, this Kaya on 4, Ashiok on 5. Good lord. The amount of stuff you can do with that is obscene. They synergize so perfectly together. So
Orzhov Super Friends, let's go.
Let's do it. Why not? What's not to love? I mean, like, for real.
Actually.
Yeah. Yeah, the wheels are turning. Let's go. Actually, I have a commander.
Let's try it on. Who?
You want to do Orzhov Super Friends? I have a brand new commander that you are going to appreciate, and to the point where it looks like you set me up for that, like we planned this, but we did not.
I did not. Sorry, I'm actually stretching my neck, so nobody make fun of me.
You're good.
Woo.
Tomek, Wielder of Law. Our buddy Tomek finally got a playable card. Let's go!
Young. Oh.
Yes. Tomek's great. We love Tomek. He's yeah. So Tomek, Wielder of Law, Ral's Boo, is a 2/4 human advisor, 1 white black with affinity for planeswalkers. Flying Vigilance. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you or a planeswalker you control, that opponent loses 3 life and you draw a card. Don't hit me. You tax your opponents for coming after you. And the fact that this has affinity for planeswalkers, if you are in a situation, if you're playing with a lot of planeswalkers, if you're doing Orzhov Super Friends.
Done. I'm in. Kaya.
Like, commander taxes for suckers. Let's go.
The whole thing. Kaya and Liliana, goodbye.
All the Kayas, all the Lilianas. You can get a couple Gideons in there. Get all the Ashioks, or well, all the non-blue Ashioks. Like, go nuts. You have some fun. Yeah. There are opportunities here. This is going to be really fun.
All of you, it's the Wanderer.
Wanderer fits. Yep, absolutely.
Which one? Yes.
All of them. Yes. Also, Elspeth and Ajani.
Which one? Yes.
All of them. Yes. All of these. You know.
Well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. Oh wait, no, Monday. This is my next Magic stream on Monday. My God, it's Baldur's Gate all week. Which, speaking of, I should actually start getting ready for D&D.
Indeed, and I should probably like unwind and get some things
I
done.
know we still have more spoilers, so we can pick up next week.
We sure could, and there will be
with
even more
the
by then.
rest. And there will. And honest, we're in spoiler season. Let's go. We're always in spoiler season. Let's be real.
I know, right? Yeah, it's super fun. So thank you so much. This has been a delight, and thank you everybody for hanging out. We do appreciate it. All right.
Love y'all. I hope you enjoyed, and Why don't you head on over to our Twitter and let us know what your favorite Karlov cars are?
That would be super cool.
I'll be posting later to ask that again. But yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, means a lot. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.